If at first you don't succeed, then try again, right? Not right. What's up, guys? Pencil here, and here we are to do a nice little breakdown and discussion on Gojo Satoru's biggest mistake in the battle against the Demon King, the King of Curses, the greatest Jujutsu sorcerer not just all of history, but across all time, Ryomen Sukuna. And Gojo made a couple mistakes, but there is a really big one, and it's very clear and very blatant, and it kind of makes me sad that Gojo went for it, but hey, you know, it'd be like that when it'd be like that, especially when it be like that. So let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me, ready, 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And unfortunately, Gojo Satoru did not have it on him, nor keep it on him at all times. In fact, neither did Sukuna. He didn't get it on him and keep it on him until after the fact. Then it got stolen. So neither of these characters didn't have it on him and keep it on him at all times. But unfortunately for Satoru Gojo, he did have something, even if it was not on him. And he did keep it with him and use it at every single opportunity when he really shouldn't have. So, if you haven't been able to guess why you're currently looking at this panel in particular, the biggest mistake I think Gojo made was domain clashing. The biggest one. There are definitely other major mistakes that Gojo made throughout this battle that may get their own videos that you may need to talk about, that Gojo could have worked around and maybe working on another thing. Maybe if I were Satoru Gojo, how I would have beaten Ryomen Sukuna, because me personally, I wouldn't have lost. That's just me. No, I'm kidding. Where am I? But with that being the case, this, in my opinion, is his biggest, heftiest, fattest, juiciest, most scrumdiddlyumptious mistake, domain clashing with Ryomen Sukuna. Now, here's the thing. To give Gojo some passes before I immediately leap into slandering this man, because on Fort, I gotta slander broski, because this is a fumble. There's no other way to put it but a fumble. It appears like thing is, I'm gonna have to insult him. It appears like he just didn't ask any questions. Bro gave the villains a whole month of prep time and decided to not use any prep time himself. Because why didn't he know it was open barrier? Really? Why didn't he? Why did no one tell him? Was he just like punching a picture of Toji / Megami for like a month straight, no sleep or nothing, and no one came in and was like, oh hey, by the way, Gojo sensei, you know, Inumaki, he lost his arm to Malevolent Shrine, but the thing is, he never actually saw like a barrier get formed. It's just that somehow spontaneously his arm kind of just exploded, and we know it was Sukuna who did that. So we're kind of thinking that his domain expansion may probably be barrierless, considering what happened to all Shibuya. And oh yeah, Yuji Tadori, you know those memories you have of what Ryomen Sukuna did and how he leveled everything? Remember how you didn't see a barrier in there? Yeah, there's no real oh, Choso, you know another person who fought a extremely good barrier user in Kenjaku? Yeah, you know that guy who also whipped out a open barrier domain, which is why Yuki currently got... Like, there are so many different characters who should have told Gojo that the man had an open barrier domain. But here's the thing, right? Let's assume they did. I don't think they did, because everyone's seemingly shocked by this result. Like, oh no, you mean the domain that's open barrier destroyed the domain with a closed barrier? Golly gee willikers, fellas. This is so bamboozling. Wow, crazy. But since everyone looks all bamboozled here, I guess no one just thought about it during the month time skip. No one thought to inform Satoru Gojo. And you know, I can give that a pass to some degree. Maybe they just didn't know what it was, and maybe they just didn't think. Because notably, Kashimo Hajime makes the assumption, wait, it's not here. Is it here? Is it here when he makes the assumption? He essentially makes the assumption that, yeah. Oh wait, no! They do, I forgot! Wait a second. Choso literally says here, then perhaps there won't be a domain battle. Based on what Inumaki and Yuji said, I don't think Sukuna closes barriers when opening domains. Huh? Isn't that impossible? And Kashimo, you know, and I feel bad. I always feel like I have to defend Kashimo now whenever I talk about him. But Kashimo's super experienced. Remember, despite looking like a 20-year-old, maybe at the oldest, the man was an old man. Like, he lived well into his... I'm not sure what the life expectancy age was in the Edo period of Japan. But essentially, he presumably lived up at least to his 60s. Like, he's a man of many experiences. He understands it. So when he says it's impossible to open a domain without a closed barrier, he probably has good reason to believe that. So maybe this was said in confidence, and Gojo was like, no way. Maybe he was that stupid, which, considering on what he does later on this fight, maybe he was just that stupid. But considering the fact that Choso does mention this, as they're all, like, the big thing about 225, until we actually get to the domain clash, is the theorizing of, like, well, would they even domain clash? Choso brings up the fact that, based on what Inumaki and Yuji said, I don't think Sukuna closes barriers when opening domains. So, like, they knew. This was discussed. It's not like Inumaki and Yuji were just like, I don't know, Inumaki was punching with one arm and Yuji was punching, like, a Sukuna picture with two arms. This isn't a thing. Like, bro had discussions about this. This was a open, discussed fact. This is apparently the first time it's being discussed with everybody, because Kusakabe's shocked by the information. So is Kashimo. Even Akari is like, Akari and Yuta, two extremely potent characters, are mentioning this. So I guess maybe they just didn't tell anybody? I guess Itadori and Inumaki just told Choso for some reason? Based on that? And the thing is, Choso does affirm that it's possible. It's like, the thing is, they know. They knew the domain was open barriered, or at least it's theorized. That's why they're so shocked about it. And we even see, once again, Choso brings up the car fact with Sukuma. This is the one I was thinking of. I forgot. He just outright said Inumaki and Yuji mentioned it. So Gojo really is just stupid. Like this, this is the biggest mistake, because he's kind of just dumb. Or that no one talked about it in depth. Choso literally says, Sukuma resisted with a simple domain. Meanwhile, Tengen dispelled the domain with a barrier technique from outside. Simple domain got stripped away. But if Sukuma had been holding an open domain, I doubt a clash of domains would result, because it amounts to a clash with the barrier's outer shell, but it probably results in a struggle involving curse techniques guaranteed. Sorry, there's so much to read here, and I'm trying to put on voices, but it probably resulted in a struggle involving the curse technique's guaranteed hit inside Yuki's domain. A struggle between that? I don't know. Maybe guaranteed hits? Guaranteed hits come with a barrier, so there'd have to be barriers. We're talking about domains like they're no big deal, but they eat up a ton of cursed energy, right? So you can't do them lightly. Fish flakes. Inumaki's right. Gojo Sensei would never run out of cursed energy. That's because his cursed energy efficiency is extraordinary, isn't it? He controls through consumption of constant self-preservation. But assuming it's regular functioning, it would be different if he was open consecutive domains. What about Sukuna? He's like a god. He activates cursed techniques and switches between amplification and innate technique quickly. If Gojo didn't have the 6 eyes, Sukuna would be even best him in cursed energy efficiency. So all this is to say that it is most likely a known fact that Sukuna's domain is barrierless. Inumaki knew about it, Choso knew about it, Yuji knew about it. Everything said this, and Gojo still went in for the clash. Why? Why? That's the big thing. Because this shouldn't be a surprising outcome. Because they should have known this. Especially based on what Choso says about how Yuki's simple domain broke down. They should have figured out that this is kind of just how these things were going to go. So Gojo opening the first domain itself is stupid. Because he should have realized that there was no way or level he was winning that. If anything, it was risky regardless for no reason. Because remember, one of the main points about an open domain, and I'll give them a pass on this that Gojo may not have known, you can leave. Because it's open barrier. The barrier is what entraps you. The reason Sukuna is so impressive is because, sure, it's open barrier, but it also goes up to like 200 meters. So like, most people wouldn't be able to escape that easily. But Gojo Satoru can literally teleport. There was no reason for him to stay and actively engage in this domain clash. If anything, what he should have done is just pump faked. I hate to put it like that. But realistically, he should have just, and then the moment Sukuna opened his. Because the main issue is that he goes domain for domain, but his domain has a shell, it has a barrier, and thusly it was susceptible to shattering. And that led to, him getting a little bit, he got a little bit of a, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say the word that I do want to say, but something on your neck that you get from people. But with that being the case, that Stupid thing number one. Stupid. Like, I hate to... I feel so mean calling it stupid, but... kind of stupid. Like, there's no reason that Gojo should have went domain for domain when the fact that Sukuna had an open domain was a known quantity. A known quantity that even Choso knows it. That's embarrassing. Inumaki, Yuji, they told everybody. They snitched on Sukuna. But Gojo, with a whole month of prep time, went in fine. We'll give Gojo a pass on this part alone, though. We'll just say, okay, he knew it was open barriered, but he didn't know how big, because I guess Inumaki and Yuji didn't get very descriptive, and he may have thought that his barrier would be strong enough, even though it's a common fact that even Yuji notes that it's weak against attacks from the outside. So, like, that is a common fact. Gojo should know that. He should be one of the smartest and most proficient sorcerers in the series. So him doing that, dumb. Stupid, actually really, really sad. In terms of an IQ feat, absolutely horrible for Gojo. No reason he should have done that. But we'll give this a pass, right? Once again, we'll just assume that he thought maybe the domain range wasn't that big. Maybe he thought his domain would be extra durable from the outside. Maybe he thought what I would have naturally thought. Oh, well, considering, you know, Unlimited Void creates a pocket dimension, maybe the domain doesn't actually overlap with the real world. Maybe that's the case, where that 200-meter range would be established within Gojo's enclosed barrier, because we know the internal range of a barrier can be a lot bigger than the outside world. The main... well, I guess like the two main examples of this are the disaster curses with Coffin of the Iron Mountain, which forms the entire mountain, and Dagon's Island, which forms the horizon of the captivating Skanda, two places that are massively bigger than their respective domain spheres. Remember, Gojo makes a mountain in a domain shell that's like the size of a lake. And like, not even the size of a lake, like a tiny portion relative to the lake. Same thing with Unlimited Void, same thing with Horizon of the Captivating Skanda. They are not actually that big relative to their domain shell shape. So maybe Gojo made that assumption, but even then, in my opinion, that assumption isn't worth making, considering by the very nature of knowing, since he did have the Carfax, this is something that was apparently mentioned and discussed, which I didn't even realize. There's no reason bro should have engaged, because the barrier was open and he can teleport. Here's the thing, I may get why Gojo went for the domain clash just to be safe if he couldn't teleport. Because, presumably, Sukuna was actually kind of kind to Gojo here and only opened Malevolent Shrine just a bit bigger than the size of Gojo's barrier. You see this, and this even leads to Gojo later on asking, hey broski, I know you can get a little bit more beefy with it, right? Like, you can make that bad boy a little bit more juicy, can it? We see him literally ask that. But with that being the case, we see after he goes through this entire discussion and is like, hey broski, can you light it up a little bit? Can you make it a little bit bigger? After he does that, he still had room. Sukuna was actually pretty much holding back here in terms of the size of his domain shell. So Gojo didn't even have to teleport far for the first time. He could have just skedaddled right to the ledge and then, Malevolent Shrine isn't effective. Now Sukuna needs to open the range of it even further. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two, even if it was 200 meters, Gojo, you can teleport. Like, sure, maybe he was afraid of the domain sure hit effect, but Gojo, if you're going to make the stupid play of trying to challenge it in the first place, you clearly weren't afraid enough. You could have just left the 200-meter range, and then Sukuna would have been forced to chase you. Because once again, Gojo, you got to remind yourself what you told him. He's the challenger here. If he's so much the challenger, why are you the one challenging him? Make him chase you. Let him challenge you, because this is going into a completely different topic for another different video. But essentially, first domain, stupid enough for multiple different reasons. Gojo seemingly should have known about it based on the whole month time skip and prep he had. He has numerous abilities to escape the effective range since he knew the domain was open barriered, and he should have realized that his domain was like every other domain and was weak on attacks from the outside and would fall to Sukuna. Even if he didn't realize it verbatim because it was an unknown factor, because we had never seen an open domain versus a closed barrier domain, it should have been the first assumption, and he should have played it safer. All that, admittedly a bit idiotic. But, you know what? Let's give him a pass on that. Let's be kind to him. Let's be like, fine, whatever. Gojo would be like that, would be like that sometimes. So what do we see in 226? We see Gojo starts to go through it. That man, he heals himself, but then he starts getting torn to pieces. And of course, he drops the famous bar, I'm glad. With regard to curse technique, I'm overwhelmingly stronger. So, like, clearly he realized that he can take Malevolent Shrine here. So this is good, right? Fantastic. Good. Leave. Leave. And we see he even starts to get the idea. He gets the idea to leave. And here's the thing, right? I'll give him a pass for not teleporting here. 100%, 100%. I will give him a pass for not teleporting here because his curse technique is shut down. Like, he literally cannot teleport here. He's experiencing domain burnout since his domain was crushed. I can get that. You experience domain burnout when you just close your domain yourself. This is why Gojo was able to be affected by Haname's attack, and he'd actually dodge and stuff like that after beating Jogo in his domain clash. That's why. I can completely 100 million trillion quintillion not million. I can't say the last one. I can understand that metric. I get why he tries to run conventionally here and why Sukuna just doesn't let him go and they end up having fisticuffs because obviously Sukuna wouldn't let him go while Gojo's experiencing domain fatigue. But this happens. And I can be like, okay, yeah, once again, simple domain makes the most logical sense here. You know, you take off some of the pressure of the Malevolent Shrine attacking you, and Sukuna's clearly not going to let you escape if you just keep trying to turn and run. Once again, you don't have your technique. All that's fine. We see that Gojo does all this. He heals himself, and then he and Sukuna engage in another battle. But naturally, since we've already seen how simple domains match up against open barrier domains, the sure hit of an open barrier domain just seems to eat away at simple domains. There's just nothing you can do about it, at least in the case of both Kenjaku's open barrier domain and Sukuna's open barrier domain, the two open barrier domains in the series. So it makes sense why Gojo goes for fisticuffs here and is simply forced to battle because he can't stand around and just let himself get slashed up by Sukuna. Sukuna, even seemingly enough, activates his technique for half a second, but of course with the final bits of the symbol domain just perish, he immediately starts to get slashed up again by Malevolent Shrine. And we see that Gojo is forced in this scenario where it's questioned, is Gojo's Satoru going to lose? He did, eventually. But still, we leap to this. He uses Curse Technique Reversal, Red. Fires off. Knocks Sukuna into the shrine. Now, there's an interesting thing to note here. He does survive it. Fantastic. He gets his technique back. Fantastic. Now, if I had to ask you, what would be the most logical thing to do in this scenario, now that you've escaped the effects of Malevolent Shrine, and you've gotten your technique back, and Ryomen Sukuna is down? You may want to attack him again. That's a logical response. You may want to, I don't know, maybe drag him out of his domain so you don't have to deal with it. That's another response. But you want to destroy the shrine, see if that does anything. Just straight up aim and launch a whole red at it. Oh, maybe. That seems like true, genuine, logical responses. But the thing is, we see that Gojo notices verbatim that, hey, you can go bigger than this, right? Come on now. Whip it out on me. Slap it against my forehead, Sukuna. I know it's girthier. And Sukuna's like, I bet. Because remember, Malevolent Shrine is still active here. It's funny looking. Like, when I initially read this chapter, I thought maybe it stopped. But no. The only reason we don't see Malevolent Shrine do anything is because it's already done its job. It's like, it's cleaved and dismantled everything in the area, and there's no more cursed energy outside of itself in Sukuna, which it wouldn't attack, because it's not that stupid. And it's carved out its little hole in the ground. Sukuna, once again, like I mentioned, limited the space of the barrier in 226 and 225 when he first opened the domain. So, like, that's fine. But Gojo, for one, why would you ask him to make it bigger? And for two, the moment he does, why would you go for unlimited voiding? Like, why? Why would you do? Why would you? What is the cognitive thought process? And I know you're all gonna be like, well, pencil man. Chill out, broski, chill out. This ain't too stupid, because you see what he does. He inverted the conditions of his domain, and thusly, it is strong on the outside. And of course, everyone's impressed that he can change the conditions of his domain on the fly. Great, fantastic, wonderful. So why would you do it though, when you can just leave? Like once again, Gojo, he is the challenger. It is his goal to execute you. Why would you fight him in that turf? Because here's the thing, right? It's not like, who knows, maybe he can. Maybe Sukuna can literally deadlift the shrine and throw it at Gojo. But until proven otherwise, which we probably will never see, there's no reason, there's negative reason to engage in another domain clash with him. Negative. Literally negative. There's no point. And you'd be wondering, well, why is there no point, Pencil Man? Could you explain that? The reason there's no point is because there's no reason to engage with him here when you could just leave. And when you still have to worry about you having a shell while he doesn't. And I'll give Gojo a pass on this explicitly. The detail and the weakness of Unlimited Void that Sukuna exploits here is something that Gojo couldn't have realized that he knew. Once again, the how do I put this? The cognizance or the consciousness of Sukuna inside Itadori's body and how much information he had and heard and all that, completely unknown to Gojo. And plus, even if Gojo hadn't snitched on himself while he was with Sukuna and Itadori way back against Jogo, Kenjaku even specifically tells Sukuna about the main weakness, Unlimited Void. He just tells him that. So there's no way Gojo could have known this one. But you know how he could have avoided this entire scenario and getting his domain shattered again? Just leave! Vacate the premises! Make him chase you! And you may be like, oh, well, pencil that. The reason he couldn't do that is because why would Sukuna have any motivation to chase? Because you can launch purples. I'm not sure what's more effective. But since Mr. My Curse Technique is... Hold on. Where are my glasses? Hold on 1 second. But since Mr. Oh, I'm glad. In regards to Curse Technique, I'm overwhelmingly stronger. I'm overwhelmingly stronger. Mr. In regards to Curse Technique, if I'm Gojo in this scenario, after I find out, with regard to Curse Technique, I'm glad. I'm overwhelmingly stronger. After I find that out, what I'm literally doing, I'm telling him, you know what? I'll give him this. I'll go with the pump fake here. I'll tell him, hey, bro, what's wrong? You can go bigger than this, right? And the moment he activates the hand seal again and goes to expand it, I may pump fake, but I may not even lie. I'll pump fake. I'll start to take the hits with the pump fake. I won't actually activate Unlimited Void. I'll kind of pull a total with Boogie Woogie. You know, Total can clap, but not actually activate his technique. I'm assuming Gojo can do this without automatically triggering Unlimited Void. I do that, force Sukuna to expand it to its full range, figure out its full range, and go. Because there's a misconception that admittedly I had for the longest time that you cannot use curse techniques while you're under the effects of somebody else's domain. Not true. The only reason that it appears like that is because Gojo's infinity is worthless inside a domain because of the nature of can't miss attacks, which spawn on an individual. They bypass the layer that infinity puts up. You can still use curse techniques inside a domain. That is just the thing. Like, we see Nanami use the ratio technique inside of Dagon's domain. We see Nabito use I was about to call it Phantom Sorcery, Projection Sorcery. We see him pull all that stuff out just fine inside a domain. So, there's no real issue with that on that front in particular. You can whip out techniques. Meaning, Gojo could have just... and been we literally see him do it. I remember when this first came out, because I had that misconception about domains, that they shut down all techniques. I thought that this was, some sort of special exception. Maybe Gojo can only use red here inside Sukuna's domain in spite of domain shutting down techniques because of the fact that it's RCT fueled, not CE fueled. So it's positive energy, so it's canceling out the negation effect of a negative energy domain, all this stuff like that. No, you can just use curse techniques. And even if you think that's the case, Gojo could just repel himself out the 200 meter range. And then, you know that attack that takes some time to fire, which is why he didn't use it, Hollow Purple? Just launch it in the general direction. If you really are overwhelmingly stronger in regards to curse technique, as you very clearly say you are here in this interaction, then just launch a purple at him. Worst comes to worst, he now needs to dodge a purple or lose his arms again, and best comes to best, you delete the shrine. And now he needs to open it again. And then, if he opens it again, fire another one. Right now, he doesn't have the wheel above his head. And since Gojo just didn't look at him that hard until until 230, when he finally noticed that the whole wheel was above Megami Soul, when he finally actually paid enough attention to that. Why not stand outside of range and fire purples? Because the thing is, Sukuna has one of two reactions. He either needs to run, or he needs to block it. Or he needs to pick up the shrine and move it. Either the shrine's getting deleted, as we see Gojo realize in their second domain clash that Sukuna can amplify within a domain because domains that have been applied to, curse techniques that have been applied to a domain are all fine, even with domain amplification. That's all good. But if you can just fire purples, once again, presumably endlessly, remember, a purple is just a combination of a red and a blue. We see Gojo spam those. So he should, especially since he's willing to drop 5 domains, I think domain expansion is infinitely more costly than purple, but you gotta remember, this is Gojo Satoru here with the 6 size, meaning they basically cost nothing. Teleport out of range, fire a purple. And then if that one doesn't work, fire another one. and then fire another one. Sukuna's going to have to do something. Because here's the thing. If Sukuna tries to escape the battlefield, like he tries to run away, because he's like, oh, this guy's just going to camp and spam purples, teleport after him. Unless he picks up the shrine to keep its, like, defensive measures around him, he's going to have to scurry away with the shrine on his shoulders to try and not run. And if he tries to run outside the range of his domain, teleport at him, punch him in the mouth. He tries to open domain again to try and catch you, teleport out again. Once again, the domain is open barrier. And then the beauty of the thing is, if Sukuna opens a closed barrier domain, then you maybe go for a second one. Then you maybe actually open your own unlimited shrine. Not unlimited shrine. Now that would be a broken ability. But you then open unlimited void on top of his dome piece. And then you actually have a proper in-domain battle. Because once that condition is gone, once he can no longer deal with you because he's opened up his domain with a barrier to entrap you and you can't escape anymore, then you can box him. Then you can open your domain, neutralize your curse techniques, and then then you can start mink-minking. Because then it's just going to be what we see here. We see on numerous occasions that when it comes to the two just being straight equal, which Gojo does go to with a small domain, when these two are straight equal, Sukuna typically has the disadvantage. Now, I know Gojo says that Sukuna could have beat him without 10 shadows. This also somewhat implies that Sukuna was holding back stats. I find it hard to believe that Sukuna would want to take just lethal damage for no reason when this has nothing to do with his adaptation. Like, why would he want to be destroyed like this? Like, he clearly just wants to execute Gojo. But regardless, if you go with the fact that Sukuna would do the same thing in this scenario, because if he did it in the original timeline, what when you do it in this alternate timeline where Gojo's camping him, then you never have to worry about this issue where Gojo gets brain damage. Because in this alternate world where he didn't just go domain after domain after domain after domain after getting them shattered and shattered and shattered and shattered, then he'd be good. He would have forced Sukuna closer to brain damage. And the beauty of Unlimited Void is that every single time Gojo would pump fake it, Sukuna would have to react with his own. Because even Sukuna knows, if I get hit by that, he even should have admits it here. He's like, hey bro, I'll be real with you. To be honest, I thought a curse technique, a fact like Unlimited Void, which only activates in a domain, would be difficult to handle. So I want to get rid of it. I wanted you to get rid of that move first. So Gojo played in Sukuna's hands by consistently voiding. Now, admittedly, the moment this happened, it was already over. And the reason I say that is because Megumi was already hit with the effects of Unlimited Void. The wheel was already above him. Meaning that Maharaga did experience, well, Maharaga's wheel at least did experience Unlimited Void sure hit effect. Meaning that from the point that happened, all the way up until the point where Maharaga finally popped out to take care of Unlimited Void, it was already too late. As we know, Maharaga isn't actually a multiple application thing. Multiple applications that it survives allow it to adapt faster. But it does just by proxy adapt by the wheel spinning. So the moment, well, actually no, it adapts over time. After even one hit, it'll just take longer unless you hit it multiple times. So the moment Gojo made the mistake of using Unlimited Void while Sukuna used Malevolent Shrine, that was when he cooked himself. Maharaga was likely going to be at least some way adapted to Unlimited Void. Would have been as well adapted to the point where it could kind of just stand right on through it and immediately stab Unlimited Void? Presumably not. The reason it was able to do that is because Gojo didn't activate Unlimited Void once. He didn't just activate Unlimited Void twice and get shattered. But then he proceeded to activate Unlimited Void a third time, which led to the Giga Domain into Tiny Domain scenario. And then he ended up activating Unlimited Void a fourth time on top of that. And then he proceeded to get that lucky hit, swing in, and go crazy. So he had to activate Unlimited Void 3 extra times, meaning Maharaga got 3 extra exposures, which meant Maharaga got extra juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious adaptations. So Gojo had set himself up the moment he went for that first domain. Domain clashing with Sukuna was the biggest mistake he could have made. And it was such an easily avoidable mistake, that's why it frustrates me so much. It does crawl under my skin. I don't really care. Like, he's already gone. But I'm just bringing it up because it's the easiest thing that he could have altered in this fight. Because he has a staple technique that we've seen him use casually in combat before that could have negated this entire thing, and he has another technique that Sukuna would be forced to deal with. The same technique that would allow him to consistently escape Malevolent Shrine is the same technique he could use to consistently put pressure on Sukuna so he could never escape. Did the same thing. Teleportation, if actually used properly in this battle, instead of just relying on limited void, would have saved Satoru the brain damage, would have saved him the life-risking effects of consistently refreshing his technique. He would have saved him in terms of like literally just his lifespan, because Mahoraga, if he had just opened with teleportation and saved unlimited void until it was actually the perfect moment to, when Sukuna was worn down, or Sukuna had burned a whole bunch of energy on numerous shrines, or something. Once again, I'll make a whole separate video talking about how I would have beat Sukuna if I had Satoru Gojo's kit and all the knowledge that he should have based on what's established in the 1 month time skip and post that during this battle. I'll make my own video talking about that. But if he had waited until the right time to use Unlimited Void, where this was a guaranteed scenario, Mahoraga would have never came out and he would have beat Sukuna. And even if Mahoraga did come out, because I think Mahoraga comes out as like a natural response to Sukuna being incapacitated. He like spawns always whenever that occurs. So I'm assuming it's something like that. Then he would have been paralyzed by Unlimited Void too. And then wiped from existence with a Curse Technique Reversal Red. Or Hollow Purple. Yeah, simple as that. Gojo's biggest mistake was opening domains and challenging Sukuna when he should have known he was never going to reach that level, no matter how many times he tried to reach the king. However, that's what I think. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think Gojo made a bigger mistake? Do you think Gojo had reasons going for domain, when he had other options in his kit? Do you think the other options wouldn't work? Do you think firing Hollow Purple through Malevolent Shrine wouldn't have worked? Please let me know all that and more in the comment section down below. And thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on Psych. I know I keep trying to catch y'all. I'll go into the outro, and I'm always watching. I'm always looking and watching. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave Unlimited Shrine. Unlimited Shrine actually sounds like a fun idea. I may have just given myself another video idea with that alone. But with that being the case, I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a pull-up Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include not just ad-free content, but also a live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This would happen to be that guy with the pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, DemixLND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a hefty thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.